out, the thing is cover your mic and then turn it down and key it. Any questions about alerts? Send in pars, things like that. Okay, nothing? Okay. So we're going to talk, the other thing that you'll get into on running accountability is, of course, a mayday.
Alpha, Bravo.
So we're going to use my radio for this, and you're going to see it come up at the bottom of the screen as a training radio. So I don't know if y'all call that a red button, an orange button, whatever color y'all call that. What I am going to ask is that while I am here today and I see the person who's about to do it, you always have, don't touch it while I'm here. Please, don't touch it while I'm here. So let's talk about what happens with this. When you hit that button, how long do you have an open mic?
10 seconds.
Guideline says 10 seconds. Motorola actually increased that to 18.
Yes.
So you have 18 seconds of open mic. Nobody can talk but you. 18 seconds. And 18 seconds in a bad situation is a very long time. So if you go 18 seconds, 18 seconds, 18 seconds, and you're wondering why nobody's talking to you, that's because nobody can. Okay? When you hit that button, and I did not know this, when you hit that button on an incident, HFD has a policy where not only does all of our command staff and OEC, all of them are alerted, that if it is an active incident, Public Works immediately boosts water pressure to our location. HPD immediately sends a captain and 3 sergeants to our location for escort and control purposes. Our entire medical staff is put on alert. And someone at the mayor's office, and Captain Fonseca and I happen to think it's a janitor, gets notified that we may have a firefighter down. Okay? Now, the difference, Chief can put you into Mayday utilizing this program. The difference is if Chief does it, you don't have an open mic. And OEC and all those things don't happen if Chief uses it. Until Chief says, I put him in Mayday, all those things don't happen. But on this application, it looks the same. Why would Chief do that? Because maybe, God forbid, something fell or something blew up next to a fire truck or he was worried about a crew. Either way, it looks the same on this program. Okay, so let's talk Maydays. So at the bottom right there, where that training is, you're going to notice there's not a name there because I'm not rostered under any name. So you'll see a blank name there. You'll see that with rescue, you'll see blank boxes with no names for hazmat or rescue or safeties or supervisors because we use multiple radios and we can only roster ourselves in one position. Okay? So would you tap that gray box and would you put me into Mayday and then close that blue X? That's what it does. Now, if they do that, there'll be a button up here that says knock down if somebody activates it. And that's what turns off that noise. Okay? And makes that screen quit flashing. So if someone hits their button, because we did it, but if someone hits their button, there'll be a button that says knock down there. So you'll notice I can key my mic, but it doesn't clear that alert. You're also going to notice a yellow triangle with a red box popped up. Would you go ahead and hit that? So if there were multiple Maydays, they would all hop to the top of the screen. Hit that again. And everybody in Mayday would be here in a list. So if we had multiples. The only way to clear a Mayday is to either select that box or that box over there, either one you want to hit, and tell it to resolve that alert. You have to manually clear Maydays. Close that out for me. You'll notice once he cleared it, I'm no longer at the top of the screen. Anyone that was still in Mayday would be at the top of the screen. You'll notice this box is no longer red. Go back if there were, hit that for me. If there were still people in Mayday, that box would still be red. Those people would still be listed above me, and it would look like it did before. Mayday's clear yellow. Okay? That's how you solve Mayday. Questions about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you said earlier if you want to get grab a type channel, I can. If there's a Mayday and we get another channel for that Mayday, is OEC going to have it monitored? They're going to know to monitor that one, right? Because they get up.
Chief says he wants another channel. Go back to channels. And go ahead and grab Southwest 16 until I confirm.
System disconnected.
Telemetry
Telemetry disconnected.
And now you'll see the tab for
Server
16 popped
disconnected.
up. So in the middle of an incident,
Server
we can
connected.
grab another channel.
Okay,
Control
OEC
channel
knows to
one
monitor that
connected.
channel though, right? Because if I
System
Absolutely.
connected.
Absolutely, you're on an
Telemetry
active
connected.
incident.
I think there's a, Chief, I know what you're talking about grabbing the channel on here.
OEC does
Chief.
everything like OEC always does. We're just monitoring, being able to monitor
But do
those
we,
channels.
but do we now have to notify them because it,
Yes, you still have to notify
we'll
them.
have to notify them.
Yeah, you still gotta notify them that you want a channel. We can't just go taking channels.
So like if we get 10 initially, they give us 11 for the fire.
You would select
And
11 on
You would
that.
select 11, but let's say there's a possibility that you know it's gonna be a 211. You can go ahead and select another channel on here, just so when you request a channel later, you won't have to come back to the system and go back to channels, grab that channel again.
Okay.
And you
It's just,
already
it
have
just
a,
takes one step out of there.
yeah, just for the future, you won't have to go back. If you get 15 for rehab, then you know it's already there. And when you click 15, you won't have to go to channels, and then go back here and click this.
I mean, does OEC know that you took that channel?
You can tell them I've got set up water supply on those. You can tell them what channel you want. All right, so the last feature I'm going to demonstrate today before we start checking radio so I can get you guys out of here because I know this is getting long. The last thing that I told you is if you're on the wrong channel, we can put you on the right channel. Why would we do that? Well, let's say we did have a mayday and Chief didn't want to lose contact with that firefighter. Or let's say maybe I've got an officer on the wrong channel and I need to get I need to have a CAN report for him and he's on the wrong channel and he's not talking to me. Well, Chief can take control of your radio and put you on whatever channel he wants to. So let's go back to my training radio to demonstrate this. Now again, we're going to hit that gray box and we're going to hit this button that says regroup. And let's put me on Northeast 3 until it confirms.
Echo, Charlie, radio regroup.
Everybody hear that? Now watch what's happened. I went red, there's a little radio icon there, and I'm going to fade off because I'm not assigned to an incident. If I were assigned to that incident, that box would stay there on that screen just like that. Okay? But y'all heard what my radio did. Once Chief does that, it doesn't matter what channel I go to, it doesn't matter if I turn this off, it doesn't matter if I take the battery out of this radio. When I turn it on, all I am going to hear is...
Echo, Charlie, radio regrouped.
And why is that important to you? Because once Chief does that to my radio, the only channel that I get is the channel Chief put me on. I get one channel and one channel only on this radio. I can't call OEC to fix it because I don't have a channel to OEC. I got Northeast 3. That's it. So if you come in at relief time and you hear Echo Charlie radio regroup, we got to call an ICT because we got a problem. Your radio is non-functional at that point. And the problem is, if you look at this, I don't know what channel I'm on because if I look at this radio screen, all it says is regroup. That's all I know. So, how do we fix that? Well, Super ICT, we're going to give you more training on this, but we go to this panel that says radio button, and we're going to do a find radio. And right here in this box, we're going to start typing in the name of the radio that we're looking for, and this is training B Bravo. So you can just highlight it here. And you're going to see that I'm on Northeast 3 and I've been regrouped. So all he has to do is hit that button that says "and regroup."
Alpha, Bravo.
Southwest Jack 15.
And you'll hear your radio release. Now we're not asking accountability to do that, but if you ever hear that Echo Charlie, know you have a problem, know that your radio is not working properly. And how you know your radio has been released so that it's functional is you'll hear it go back to the right channel. Okay?
You could go, if you knew what channel it was on and what radio, you could go to channels.
And I'm going to
Go
show y'all
Northwest
more
3.
how to find it, because there's several ways to
Okay.
find it. But does that make sense to everybody? So there's a few of the features that we have. Now then, a couple of things that I want to show seniors who ride Chief, and I'm going to steal you here and show them what I showed you earlier. If you are a senior that rides Chief, if you are a backup ICT, there's a couple of things that differ a great deal than Grace. First of all, The only way we have to know, this is the biggest difference, we have no way to know if you're not moving other than the viber alert in your air pack. This does not have a motion sensor in it. Okay? So, remember it's a radio-based program. Motorola radios do have a feature called a man-down feature. And it activates anytime your radio hits 45 degrees or greater. So think crawling in an attic, overhauling, whatever. The problem with it is there's no turning it on or off. It is always on or it is always off. So all of you right now that have your radios like this, you would be in mayday. So that's why we don't have it. Now we got some workarounds that I'm going to show the chief for how to figure out, do we have somebody if they're not responding, how do we get an alert, how can we track them. We got some more tricks up our sleeves, so we're going to show them later on kind of a workaround to use that feature if someone is not responding. We got a workaround for it. But just know, when that motion sensor goes off, we've got to make sure and pay close attention to those now. That's the one disadvantage of this program where it's very different. But one of the cool things about this program, and what we're going to bring chiefs and backup ICTs, if you will, they're not only can chief issue alerts, but if you look, for every incident we have, there is a list of benchmarks per the HFD guidelines that are there. And for each thing, this company keeps a different, separate log. It's on OEC rather than that verbal message. And Chief has a backup log that they can use that way for benchmarks and timestamps. Also for this program, Chief can use this program like a customized worksheet or command board, if you will. And what Chief does on here, no one sees but Chief. So, if, for example, Chief wants to, everything is touchscreen, everything is drag and drop. So if Chief wanted to use this thing in that manner, or even if Chief wanted to go take it mobile and just run his division or group with this, he could do that, and nobody sees this but him, and he could send messages to just his people and do that. So all of that is available too. That's why accountability is going to do one thing, and then Chief can utilize this in his own way down the road. Now, a couple of things I want to point out to you is, remember, this is a very, very expensive application. But just like you guys have to buy a license to run Windows or Excel at your home, the license alone for this is actually $20,000. That was part of the increase in cost we had. Initially, we were only going to get one. The chiefs were going to get the tablets to do high-rise surveys on, so I begged and pleaded and said, hey, can I get an extra set of licenses so the chief has this in their vehicle? And they were like, what does he need it? So all of those benchmarks and that command sheet, Chief, if you use it that way, great. If you don't. But what I will say is in every line of duty death report we have, the top two contributors are always radios and communications. And in my mind, if Chief could see who was trying to talk to him and who is talking, and additionally no more that what are my companies again, because they're already going to be there, then that was worth every dime. And the Firefighters Foundation actually covered the cost for that second set of licenses so chiefs could have them. So be aware it's very expensive. They're going to get real upset if we lose it, break it, leave it on the car. There are only 3 spares, and those are with the safety officers. Safety 57, 30, and 24s have the only spare equipment that exists. So if we lose this stuff, they're going to get a little fussy.
So you said the chiefs are gonna be on this thing?
Yes, they're going to be on SharePoint. So, all of that. Can I answer any questions about this application? Is there something you are wondering right now? I know I put a lot of information at you, but it's really pretty simple to
I got a
write.
question.
Yes.
I changed writing positions real quick on the.
It'll take the
How
server
long
a
is it?
minute to pick it up.
It takes a, okay.
So the server is scheduled to update. It's supposed to update. Remember, we're talking 2 different servers. So the staffing server is supposed to update every 3 to 5 minutes. I assure you, it does not most of the time. It can be right away, and I've had it take 30, 45 minutes sometimes to get those changes. Sometimes you will see them, sometimes you won't.
Okay. And then, you're talking about the grabbing another channel. So say if he grabs, 10, 11, and graphic 12, but say District 68 has 12 already on a firewall, will 12 even be able to be populated with those?
You will, and what you'll see is if your people, if the people on your incident, it's only gonna send messages on the radio channel you're selected, the highlighted tab you're on.
Right, but if somebody already has a channel
If
on.
they had a channel on
occupied-
12, we could run over and see what they're doing, or if they sent messages, we'll have a pop-up box that says, hey, they're sending messages on one of the channels we're monitoring.
Okay,
You'll have a little pop-up box, a gray box that says, hey, they're sending a message, just tell it okay, all right?
The other system we've got now is you're allowed to do the automatic 20-minute car check timer. Where
OEC is still gonna tell you when it's time for a car. Guys, this does acknowledge a little slower than Grace, so be aware to see it. What happens is, the more radio traffic there is, the longer it's gonna take to get these things cleared. We're gonna address some of that when we do the second phase of training of how to work around that, all right? So if we have heavy radio traffic, it's gonna take longer for this to clear than if there's no radio traffic. Because talking is always